got to say something. Lightweight, step it aside when we come in. Feel it in your chest, the syllables get pumping. People on the street get panic and start running. Words on loose leaf sheet, complete coming. I jump on my mind, I summon the rhyme, I'm dumping. Healing the blind, I promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways, we march to the drumming. Jump when they tell us that they want to see jumping. Dad, I want to see some fist pumping. Lift something, take back what's yours. Say something that you know they might attack you for. Cause I'm sick of being treated like I have before. Like a stupid standing for what I'm standing for. Like this war's really just...
Oh man, I love Linkin Park. I am absolutely that song tonight. You know that I'm absolutely sick of being criticized for what I say. I'm being sick of being told that I'm not patriotic for standing up and saying, what's happening in this country, in this world is absolutely wrong. The little guy is, he's nothing more than a slave at this point. My name's Charlie McGrath. My website is wideawakenews.com. If you're listening and not in the chat room, we have, I don't know because I don't have it pulled up right now, 80, 90 people in the chat room right now. Go over to wideawakenews.com, click on Wide Awake Radio, and you can join those folks in there. I'm going to bring Dex on in just a minute, and I'm going to try to keep it on topic. Poor Dex, I feel bad. I drag him down these roads of conspiracy, what's happening in the world. I drag him far off topic for what he is an expert on this program for, which is economics. But it's hard not to do it. It's here you go. I dumped a headline in right before the show started. Before I start, if you want to follow the show day to day, who's going to be on? I keep forgetting to make this announcement, and Bonnie is squaring me away. Go to facebook.com/wideawakenews, and you can follow the YouTube channel, Krabby Dog Tricks. All my videos go up there, and also who's going to be the guest on the program. Tonight it's Dex. Tomorrow it's Pete from PD Illumina. Friday it's going to be Open Topic Friday. Monday, of course, will be Warren. Tuesday we'll have Christopher Green. Wednesday is a gray area, but by the time we get there, we'll have somebody lined up to come on. All right, here's the deal. This is the deal, guys. What we have going on now is we're being distracted with the Dow Jones at 12,223 points or whatever it closed at today. We have commodities setting to literally explode, skyrocket, making charts like we've never seen before, parabolic, exponential growth. I mean, these words, you better get used to them. Just like systemic, you had to get used to that. Just like austerity, you had to get used to that. Parabolic is a new term that if you haven't heard it for a while, you might want to dust it off because that's where things are going as far as what you're going, the prices you're going to pay for essentials that you need just to live in this country. And while we are all distracted, while we're all talking about the latest pop culture events of the day, being all of us, I'm referring to the country, the general populace, we have things like the Patriot Act being, skirted through Congress again, this piece of legislation that was supposed to sunset out to protect us from terror-loving terrorists everywhere. That's been signed back into law for another 10 months, at least through the House it has. Definitely it will be through the Senate as well. And then today I have Bonnie post a story about the WikiLeaks. The WikiLeaks are back. Here we go. Assange is back in the news. I've heard mainstream people on the right and the left calling for the head of Julian Assange. He is a no-good, dirty, rotten so-and-so, undermining the confidence in the military, undermining the confidence in the U.S. government. My question is this. What do we have to fear from truth? At what point did we shift from a nation of we want truth first, we want the truth, let the truth settle where it may, and then we will deal with the problem thereafter? We don't do that anymore. We don't even consult truth in our thinking anymore. Our mainstream media, our government officials, it's all about we got to cover up the secrets, we got to cover up the lies. We can't let these cables come out that happens between embassies. We can't let the truth come out because if we know the truth, we will have situations like we have in Egypt or in Tunisia. We're going to have people taken to the streets demanding leadership to go away, to get out. This WikiLeaks, it was drugged through the media for months and months on end because this guy staged or otherwise, was letting information out that was hurting the feelings of the people who have the top secret clearances, and it was showing some of the shenanigans our government is up to. You know, showing some of the things that are going on that are violating human rights, showing some of the collusion that goes on between our so-called enemies and our own government just so we can get on a piece of real estate, showing the absolute disregard for true liberty around the world and more a regard for maintaining and controlling power. That's what the WikiLeaks does. You know, when they released the video where the helicopter went and hosed down with a 30-millimeter chain gun a bunch of Iraqi citizens standing there, that's embarrassing. But instead of concentrating on what happened, fixing the problem that happened, instead of concentrating on getting our guys out, instead of concentrating on not killing citizens around the world in the name of a fictitious war that's never going to be won or never will end, we're going to go after the third-party publisher. And now we're going to make it a crime for you to be a third-party publisher. Let me make the distinction here. If I worked for the government and I have a top-secret clearance and I stole knowledge that was entrusted to me that I wouldn't, you know, it was secret. I couldn't give it out. If I took this knowledge, then I'm committing espionage. I'm full well knowing that I have access to information that is sensitive and secret, and I give that away or I sell it or whatever, I can be tried because I have committed espionage against my country. Now, this act, beautiful name, just like the Patriot Act, the name, SHIELD Act, the SHIELD Act that is being presented to us by Representative Peter King, is going to make third-party publishers accountable under the Sedition Act in this country. Now, the ACLU is freaking out about this, and as well they should, and every citizen who even understands what the word liberty means should be losing their mind over this. Because what they're going to do is they're going to take sites like Assange, like WikiLeaks, staged or otherwise. I mean, if it wasn't staged, if it wasn't a controlled opposition site, then it was certainly handy to have as a whipping boy to get this kind of legislation up in our face so we can get it passed. You're going to have sites like WikiLeaks and maybe, you know, Wide Awake News. Maybe pulsescan72 on YouTube. You're giving out information that, you know, that is damaging to the country, and it can be considered sedition because you're saying something that somebody deems to be classified. You know, we have more top secret clearances in this country right now than you can shake a stick at. If a private first class in the United States Army can have access to these hundreds and thousands of documents that are classified, that are putting people, you know, the government claims we're putting nationals in harm's way, we're putting our soldiers in harm's way by letting this information out here. Well, let me tell you what's putting our soldiers in harm's way. Let me tell you what's putting these foreign nationals in harm's way. How about the inept military giving a private first class free-range access to this kind of information? Now, I'm saying this under the assumption that this is all genuine information. I don't believe that for 1 second. You know, I was a private first class. You know, I know how long it took to achieve that rank. You ready for this? It was after 6 months, 180 days in service, I achieved the rank of the same guy who was allegedly had access to countless documents, countless downloads of information that could be spread out to hurt people around the world. It's a scam. It's an absolute setup to get the police state apparatus growing and growing and to get the complete control over everything you read, everything you hear. And if we don't like what you're saying, we don't like how you're presenting the facts, then we will shut you down. We will use the Sedition Act on you. It's an arm of the Patriot Act. I had to send Dee's at Dee's Illustration an idea for a new piece of art. This monster, this Terminator monster, the heart of it is the Patriot Act. All these other things spawning off of it are transforming into this Transformer Terminator monster that is absolutely decimating freedom in this country and this world. All right, 16 minutes into it, let's get our resident economic expert on. Dex, I'm going to try to keep it on economy tonight, but I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to do it. Dex, pulsescan72 on YouTube. Welcome to the program once again. I always appreciate you coming on.
Hey, what's up there, my man? It's always good
How you doing?
to be on the show. You can talk about anything you want when I'm on here. It's no holds barred, man. Whatever you want to do.
I appreciate you saying that because we always do. Did we get another a video out with the little guy before the show?
Nah, I didn't have a chance to, man. I apologize. I'm busy playing around with algorithms at the moment.
All right. Well, let's jump into first of all, have you read the SHIELD Act? Have you seen that piece of information come out? I don't know if you saw it on my site or not.
No, like I said, I've been buried in computer code all day. So
all right. Well, let's
do that.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. Silver still strong. We're off a little bit today. Gold not as strong as silver in the last few days, but still holding its own. Commodities are exploding. Give us the lowdown. What's going on?
Well, it's like this, Charlie. Everything that we have been talking about for the last several weeks is coming to pass. Everything's becoming more expensive. Everything that we eat, everything we use to manufacture food, create food, is going through the roof. And there's nothing we can do about it. It's part of the destabilization that they're doing to the country. They're gutting us like a fish, and there's nothing we can do about it. This is only the beginning. I think we're going to see some really, really very powerful parabolic upside moves in just about everything pretty soon. And the funny thing about it is, you know, you've had a lot of talking heads talking about a market crash, and I think just the opposite is going to happen. I think that we haven't even really rallied yet in equities. I don't think we've really seen the true highs in corn and soybeans and wheat and cotton and sugar and coffee. I think this is only the beginning, and I think gold and silver are going to explode as well. And it's almost like back in 2007 and 2008 when they were just making it so easy to make a killing by buying oil. It didn't matter what price you bought at. It didn't matter what day of the week you bought. You would make a killing. You can expect to see more lock limit up moves in the commodity complex going forward. Case in point, cotton. It opens up lock limit, so it's making it difficult to get in at times. I mean, even the ETF that tracks cotton, ticker symbol BAL. I was able to capture the move in cotton by trading the BAL and made a nice profit there on a gap up on the open. And you know, only thing I can tell people is, you know, this is your opportunity right here to make money. The government's basically subsidizing the stock market. They're making it so that all you have to do is pick something, buy it, you make money. So if you don't have a job, but you have a little nest egg you're sitting on, you can put it to work for you in the market, grow your money.
Well, but they're not getting behind housing. I mean, housing's not one of those bubbles that's going to be reinflated. Are we seeing in commodities in
that's
commodities?
True, Charlie. See, this is the pimpulation of America. Now, housing, as far as the brick and mortar operation of it, as far as, you know, flip this house and things of that nature, yeah, that game is dead, but that's not where the focus needs to be. The focus needs to be on the REITs, because ticker symbol IYR and some of the other ETFs that track the REITs, they've been moving lockstep with the stock market. So again, you're pimping the wrong game. You got to get the game tight. If you're going to play real estate, real estate is booming. It has been booming ever since the physical real estate market has crashed. But the REIT market is on fire, and it has been for some time.
Why don't you explain for those that don't know what the REIT market is?
Real estate investment trust. That's when they put together a whole bunch of real estate products. Like, let's say you don't have the money to go in and buy this shopping mall down the street, so you go and you find a group of people or a fund that wraps up all these different real estate holdings, a lot of commercial real estate holdings, and you get to buy shares into that. So you're holding a lot of different real estate investments in one fund. And that's
what are these chopped up residential? I mean, are we doing retail?
It's mostly commercial. It's mostly commercial. But it does some amazing things. Again, ticker symbol IYR. Take a look at it. Look at the chart. You tell me. While everyone else's houses has been going down, other properties have been going up. Again,
the pimperation.
All you have to do is buy ticker symbol IYR. I repeat, IYR. And there are more like it out there, but that's the main one that has the most open interest and volume in it. So again,
what we have,
it's a trader's market, man.
Well, I was going to say, what we have is an economy now. Let's break the economy down, Dex. I mean, what we have is an economy that is, a derivatives economy. We have paper trading back and forth, making some people beyond fabulously wealthy, while the rest of the country, Main Street that was going to get healthy by $30 trillion of bailouts, Main Street that we live in, is languishing. And they're going to be looking at quadrupling food prices in the next year, if not sooner. They're going to be looking at a continuing loss in their mortgage in their real estate investment if they own the home they're in. They're going to continue to look at an ever declining wage, and they're going to continue to look at an expanding lead time if they come out of a job. I read a report earlier today. 10 weeks in 1980 waiting for a job was crisis level in this country. Now the average person is over 20 weeks before they can find another job, and in almost every single case, it's a job that is a backward step as far as income. So we have a dying middle class. We have the subsistence commodities we need soon are going to be luxury items. We have our home investment continuing to fall. Yet we have this whole other entire economy, this pimperation that you call it, which is exactly what it is, that's being folded up, turned into some kind of derivative, some kind of investment vehicle, and people are becoming wealthier beyond their wildest imagination because the government is not going to let these things fail. But the average Joe, the average guy, it has a hard time getting into this.
Well, again, it all comes back to information and education. How long have I been saying that people need to open up a brokerage account? Ever since I've been on your show, I've been telling you where to go and where the money's at. And that's all you had to do is go and do that. It's a trader's market. Yeah, you can't get a job, but that doesn't mean you can't make money. Again, the government is backstopping the market. Just buy silver. Open up an account and trade silver spot or the silver futures or whatever. I mean, they're making it so that the prices are going to keep going up. All you have to do is buy cotton. Buy it and walk away. I mean, it's that kind of thing now. They're making it so that instead of the booming real estate market we had, 10 years ago, now we're having pimperation of the equity market. And they keep throwing out new equities all the time. There's a new ETF coming out. It seems like every month there are like 10, 15 new ETFs coming out. They're trying to capitalize on everything. I mean, you can trade everything from video games to chemtrails, things that are killing us with and poisoning our skies with. You can trade that. There's a market for that on the exchange.
I think Max Kaiser 2 years ago, I remember him saying that the new economy is going to be this gulag casino economy. You're going to have a gulag economy based on the police state, and you're going to have a casino economy where you can bet on anything. You can bet on if a movie's going to do well when it comes out, new release. You can bet on chemtrails. You can bet on how many protesters are going to die in Egypt. I mean, it's insanity that we live in, Dex.
You joking about it, but that already was something that was actually literally on the table. Do you recall the contracts they wanted to put on movies and superstars to see whose movie would hit at the box office? They got close to making a contract for it, but it didn't really hit the ground. And then right after that's when we had 9/11, and the Securities Exchange wanted to go ahead and create a futures market to capture Osama bin Laden. And
you gotta be kidding me.
It was in the mainstream media. It was everywhere, and they decided at the last minute not to do it. Now, here's something for you. Why do you think they wanted to create a market for it to capture Osama bin Laden?
Enlighten me.
All right. The reason they want to create a futures market for anything like that is because they know that traders have inside information on everything. So if you want to know something, you go to the trading community. If they really wanted to capture Osama bin Laden, all they had to do was create that exchange, and they would have found him in minutes. Because when people are betting, putting their money on the line, they know exactly what they're doing. They put a lot of research into that. They know what's up. So all I'm saying is, because there really is no Osama bin Laden, and that's why they didn't do it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you which one, which version.
But anyway,
hold on, Dex. Hold on. No, hold on a sec. We're gonna take this one and only break. The phones are open after this break, 877-342-6673. If you have questions for Dex, that'd be the time to call in. Please stay tuned. We're going to be right back with Dex. We have 100 people in the chat room. If you'd like to join, go to wideawakenews.com, click on Wide Awake Radio link, and you can enter the chat. You don't even have to put a name in there. You can be anonymous if you'd like to be, which might be a good idea looking at this SHIELD Act coming out. You might want to just remain anonymous. All right, we'll be right back with Dex on Wide Awake Radio right after this. All right, welcome back to Wide Awake Radio. I'm Charlie McGrath, your host. If you are not in the chat room, go to wideawakenews.com, click on Wide Awake Radio, and join in the chat. I want to say thanks to Miss C. Gypsy, thanks to Cookie, thanks to Bonnie for monitoring the chat and keeping it somewhat on topic. It's okay if it drifts one way or the other, but keeping the spam out, keeping the advertisers out, and keeping it flowing in there. So thank you guys for monitoring that. It's one of the best shows in our best. Look, I'm bragging. One of the best chat rooms in all alternative media. Dex, I want to jump right to this topic that I don't want to miss tonight, so I'm going to bring it up before we go down a different path. Deutsche Börse, 9.53 billion NYSE purchase may lead to more takeovers. We spoke about consolidation here just 1 week ago from tonight. And here we go. We see a consolidation of power, a consolidation of financial governance. Now we see this consolidation. What does this mean for the financial services industry? What does it mean for traders? What does it mean for markets around the world? And what does it mean for break it down and tell me how it affects everyday people, the liberty of everyday people.
All right, well, let's just rewind for people who are not familiar with what you're talking about. A while back on the show, I explained what I meant in a video that I did, explaining the consolidation of power and the connecting of all of the world markets into one global market. And they're doing it through circuitry and through the computerized interface, how they're linking all of the systems together. And I did go through a long spiel on how that's done and how they switch the servers and the algorithms and things, and how they've been gearing up the dark pool so that the other sovereign wealth funds and things overseas can have access to our markets freely, and, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, all this is doing is just sealing the deal. That's all it's doing, so that they can have access to the servers at the New York Stock Exchange physically. Instead of relying on a third party to route everything, they will actually have people there that they can actually coordinate that. That's all that is. They're going to own 60% of it, and they're going to keep the Americans, overseeing the daily operation of it, but they're gonna have a 60% stake in it. So we've basically given up our sovereignty, our last bastion of power, which was the New York Stock Exchange, the thing that separated us from the rest of the nations on the planet, is now gone away. So if you think about it, you have Germany now taking over. Rings a bell, lets you know that basically...
that's happened a time or two.
Yeah, the movement is not dead. You know, they just went underground, if it makes any sense to you. So it's not going to really affect the day-to-day things, life as we know it. It's not even going to really affect what happens in the market per se. It's just a consolidation of power and resources. And like it or not, the stock exchanges are a resource. Mm-hmm. So now that you're rolling up the exchange, the next thing to do is attack the economy, which you've done that, and now you're going to attack the economy some more, and this time you're going to roll up the resources, and you do that by starving the people. And how do you starve the people? You don't have to withhold food to starve the people. All you have to do is raise the price so that people can't afford to eat. It's just like I said before all this talk about food shortages, and I did videos about this stuff before anyone was talking about it. I explained what was going to happen. I said you're going to go to the store, and you're going to see, based on the geography and where you live, you're going to see one of two things. You're going to see either nothing on the shelf, and the store is literally closing down in your small town, or those who are in the larger suburbs and in the inner cities, you'll go to the store, but you won't be able to afford anything on the shelf. So it won't be a lack of food. It'll just be a lack of access to food. And then when the austerity measures kick in and they start cutting back the Social Security benefits and they start cutting back disability benefits and people start losing their pensions because the government's taking over the pensions, and then and locking that up where you don't have access to that, and then they take your 401ks where you don't have access to that, and then you add on top of that, they're cutting back food stamp benefits for people who can barely eat anyway.
Right.
And that leaves you with really no options. So that's when you start to see the violence escalate, and you start to see people wanting to march in the street.
Let's tie that in to another headline on the site, the top headline. Healthcare reform law. This is the guise of it. The healthcare reform law requires a new army of 1,054 new IRS agents to be implemented, in the next year. So I mean, you're talking austerity. They're hiring thugs, enforcers, so that they have them on the ready. They're the ready reserve. They're ready to go out there and do their bidding, do the bidding of the austerity police. They are the austerity police.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that, because if there's no one working, there's really no one to go after, because the only people that are going to be working are people who work for the state anyway. So it's not going to be a whole lot to go after. That's just more psyop to put more fear into the people. That's not going to be the real issue. The real issue is going to be, what are you going to do, like I said, when you go to the store and you can't afford bottled water, because water has now gone up in price, because they're consolidating the resources. They're consolidating food, they're consolidating water, they're consolidating oil. That's why they're sending battleships overseas. They're doing all these things. They're rolling up. That's what they're doing. They're rolling up everything and creating artificial scarcity. That's how you starve people out. That's how you weaken a nation. It's easier to overtake a nation when they're
weak. You become much more malleable. Yeah, when you're hungry, you suddenly listen a whole lot more.
Exactly. That's why people, they keep looking for false flags and nukes to go off. No, it's too messy. You don't need to do all that. You don't need to knock down buildings. They don't want to have to spend all the money on cleanup. That's not what they're looking to do. They don't need to do that.
All right, I'm gonna.
They don't need to set off bombs and rounds of ammunition, and they don't need to waste that on a sheep. All they need to do is keep doing what they're doing. Taking things away from you step by step, little by little. Take your sovereignty away. Take your freedoms away. Take more of your life savings away. Take your dignity away. You know, with these strip searches at the airport. Now you're going to be strip searched at the train station. And then, you know, basically, you have no rights is what it's actually boiling down to, because the Constitution has been made invalid. So they have a right to just roll up on you, throw you in the backseat of a car, drive you, whisk you away somewhere, and no one's ever going to hear from you and see you again. And
I hear you. Let's take a caller, Dex.
Right.
We've had Yaki holding for a minute here, so go ahead. Are you there?
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Thanks
for calling. I appreciate it. Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. This is Yaki Dacky from Austin, Texas. I just couldn't maintain my anonymity for certain reasons.
No problem.
Anyhow, the question is, my problem was I was listening to Gerald Salente, and I'm a big fan of his, and he says that the dollar devaluation is responsible for a lot of the dollar devaluation of the world currency markets is responsible for a lot of the higher food prices, and I'm wondering if you would like to comment on that.
I will certainly comment on that. I'll let Dex go first. Thank you very much for the question and the call and the participation in the chat room. I like your comments in there. Dex, go ahead.
So it was a little difficult to hear you, sir.
All right, let me repeat it. Let me repeat it. He had said that he had heard an interview with Salente saying that the dollar devaluation is one of the causes for this spike in food prices around the world. I somewhat agree with that, but the dollar's not in unprecedented territory by any means. But go ahead, Dex. Give me your thought, and I'll give you mine.
I can understand that to a certain point. The reason why the prices are going up is because of the artificial scarcity. They're holding things back. They're planting less acres. And then when you're planting less acres, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that as soon as you get some bad weather on top of that, now you're really going to be in trouble. So, again, they were paying farmers not to plant certain crops. I mean, come on. And then on top of that, they're holding stuff back. And then they're using a lot of the corn for ethanol. I mean, you want to burn your food to put in your gas tank? I mean, come on, man. So
well, we got a situation now, with man-made scarcity, right, or at least alleged scarcity. But we also have a situation globally of weather-related, where you have a massive die-off in Russia last season. I just had an article posted on the severe winter in the south of this country, in the north of Mexico. You have China that's facing record drought, and they're trying to figure out how to make plastic rice or put in fillers to feed more people. Their imports are going to be 9 times what were projected of corn into China from the U.S. So, man-made or otherwise, there is a demand for food because of either policy where they're paying people not to grow, or policy devoting so much of a corn crop to turn it into ethanol. But I think the primary reason that we're seeing this is the Federal Reserve's quantitative easing. They're pumping billions and billions of dollars announced into the markets. These markets know there's no way they're going to lose, so they're speculating this stuff to the moon. And
that's true, Charlie, but that doesn't speak to the weather phenomenon part you talked about. Do you know that they actually have created a device that will actually solve the world's hunger problem? They've created a device that will also, this one device, you can fit it in the palm of your hand. I'm serious. They have a device, and they won't bring this to market. That's how I say it's artificial scarcity. That even, with the severe weather we've been having, there is a device they have that can actually even limit the severe weather that we've been having, and pretty much give us bumper crops. Have you heard of that? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, well, I've heard of it. I'm not certainly not fluent enough in the subject to speak to it. So
okay.
Go ahead.
All right, let me explain to everyone what this is, okay? There is a device. It is one of the most amazing devices that have ever been created. And each person can get one, okay? And this device will once you have it, it will cure that, like those strong tornadoes and the severe snow and blizzard stuff. I mean, it's amazing, and it will help crops to grow normally and stuff like that. Let me tell you what this device is called. It's called a surface-to-air missile. And you take this device, and the next time you see one of those planes spraying these poisonous chemtrails in the air, you shoot it out of the sky, and that will alleviate all the weather and all of the problems that we've been having with the artificial scarcity in the food supply.
You know who you're like? You know who you're like? You kill me with these build-ups, Dex. You kill me with them. Cause, it's I'm trying to think of his name. Jones has him on his program once in a while. The prognosticator, Lindsey Williams. That's who. When all right, you ready? Here it comes. And I'm waiting. I'm on the edge of my seat. I mean, I'm pushing my headphones in tighter and tighter to my ears so I can hear this revelation. And then you drop a surface-to-air missile on me.
Now, look. Since we have to say this, I'm not condoning violence of any kind. But the bottom line is this. If they would just stop spraying the darn stuff in the air, we wouldn't have all these problems. If they would stop trying to geoengineer weather and seeding clouds and all the foolishness that they've been doing, we wouldn't have these problems. If they would stop drilling into the ocean and cracking the ocean's floor and disturbing the fault lines, and we wouldn't have these fish and stuff wouldn't be dying and floating to the surface. They're killing our food, and they're killing us. And they need to stop it. That will solve it all right there. But they're not going to do that.
Amen to that.
Matter of fact, they want to continue to offer more genetically modified food. Plastic rice. I mean, come on, man. You can't digest plastic. That's not food. Again, how can they even speak that on the air and not get laughed at or stoned? That's all I'm saying, man. The bottom line is this. Our society has become just so ridiculously ignorant. They're beyond sheep. They're walking zombies. They can come and they can say anything they want on a newscast, and people will just be hypnotized to it like a fly to a light in the dark. It's crazy, man. I can't believe that they could come out there and say that and not get laughed off the air. Plastic rice. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. Plastic rice, and Europe's being forced to accept GMO food. And it's all about creating profit in the dual economy that we have here, the real economy that is in shambles and falling apart, and the paper economy, which these ultra-elite live in. Dex, what do you see? I mean, obviously you're predicting that we're going to see a continued run-up in the Dow Jones. We're going to see a continued run-up in commodities. Anything derail this? Are we going to look at, I know you don't want to use the term false flag, are we going to look at some event that is going to derail this and send markets?
Yes. They are in the process of a major false flag right now, the biggest false flag yet that they've done. It's called PSYOP false flags. That is the anticipation of a false flag that will never happen. They want to use fear tactics to make you so afraid to even walk out of your house because you're afraid that a bomb or something's going to go off. There is no false flag on that scale. There's no nuke. There's nothing falling out of the sky. There's not a bomb going off in the train station. It's none of that foolishness. It's just talk. They want to scare everyone to death so that they can pass the Patriot Act, which they just did. So they can pass more legislation, so they can take more rights away, so that people will be so afraid and so confused, they'll say, hey, just take all my rights. And they'll just get to the point where you won't have to wear clothes anymore. Just walk out of your house butt naked because they'll make it easier for them to search you when you leave the house. And people do it.
How could you possibly argue with that? When I opened the show with the legislation of the day, literally of the day, because it seems that it's the only thing we see more than civil unrest and protests around the world and people pushing back is liberty usurping legislation such as that SHIELD Act, which is going to make it illegal for me or anybody else who's in the alternative media, any third party, not in the mainstream, not towing the party line. It'll make it illegal for you to conduct free thought, not business. I was going to say business, but business makes money. Just trading ideas and free thought, like we're doing here, could soon come under some kind of some kind of terrorist act.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, I want to go a little bit deeper into the fake false flag. Okay. They want to get you, again, this is the pimperation of America. They want to get you so afraid that you won't even think outside of the box that they put you in. Okay, false flags. All right, we talked about that. The next thing, civil unrest and civil uprising. You may see that across the ocean. You're not going to see that here, man. Are you kidding me? People here are either too sick or too fat or too broke to do anything. And we've been beaten down. Man, you got to first turn your iPod off before you can even hear what's going on around you. We're so entertained here. We know ain't no civil unrest. And let's really focus on what really happened. Okay, we saw some images of people uprising in Egypt, right? Let me ask you a question. Who is still in power in Egypt? The same people who've always been in power in Egypt. All they did was play musical chairs and take one man out of the office, and they're going to put another one of them men back into the office.
That's exactly right. That's
Did
exactly
the people
right.
take over the country? No. The people got shut down. That's what happened. They got shut down. They didn't do nothing. Nothing came of that. They didn't take nothing over. They got shut down. They G20 them. They did a Pittsburgh G20 on them. That's what happened. The same thing that happened in Greece. Who's in power in Greece? What's going on in Greece right now? Nothing. What's going on in Athens? Nothing. The people ain't doing nothing. There was a song that came out several years ago. Punks jump up to get beat down. Well, that's what's happening. Sheep jump up to get sheared. The sheep can rise all they want to. They're going to get sheared. Ain't nothing going nowhere. At the end of the day, they still not in power. The people with the power have all the guns. The people with power control your checkbook. They push the button, they can lock up your accounts. They can ruin your life. All it takes is one IRS agent to come knocking at your door and your life is over. They don't have to kill you. They don't have to take you to jail. They can just lock up your accounts. They can make it so that you never can afford a stick of gum for the rest of your life. You're ruined. That's all it takes. It don't take a lot. You don't need to do a lot to get at people these days. It is so easy to reach out and touch someone. I mean, look at the whole cybersecurity thing. If somebody really wanted to get at you, they could get at you. They could hack your world upside down, get into all your stuff, do all types of things to you. You saw the movie The Net, An Enemy of the State. They can use technology in so many ways, man. Please. There's nowhere you can run or hide. They know everything about everybody. They know what's going on. They always have. They're in control. They just want you to think that they're losing or slipping in their grip of control, just so you can run outside so they can take haul you off to the FEMA camp. That's all it is. They have all the power, and nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change. There will be no riots. There will be no civil unrest. There will be no bombs. There'll be none of that stuff. Just more fear tactics to get people to give up their civil liberties, the little bit they have left anyway, and to demoralize you and desensitize you to the violence. That's why they kept showing the violence images on TV, to entertain you, to desensitize you to the violence, not to encourage you to revolt, but to make it so that you will not revolt. Reverse psychology. I'm not gonna. If I really wanted you to revolt, I'm not gonna show you those images.
No,
I'm not even gonna broadcast it on TV.
However, and because this is what we do sometimes. I can't pick apart any one thing. What am I going to say? That America is awake, that they're taken to the streets in droves. We've seen the largest theft in the history of the planet continue right before our eyes to this very second of which I speak. Computers are running somewhere, grifting money off of this economy in the form of bailouts, in the form of guarantees, and the form of putting the failure of those companies on our back. This is continuing to this very, very second. However, Dex, I just can't see a continuation when you have 43 million people who are going to be austerity struck in off of food stamps. You're going to have millions and millions of people who are, their only paychecks coming in the mailbox. I mean, these people either have to be eliminated completely or, sedated to the point that they have nothing. I mean, just by standing around, there's going to be millions of people that have nothing to do, nowhere to go, and we will see actual, real food lines in this country instead of the silent, the hidden food lines that we have right now with debit cards being issued so people can have enough money to pay for their groceries for the week. But that isn't going to, even if those people stay on, what's coming in the next few months or to a year, even the food stamp benefit isn't going to be enough to cover that. People are going to push back, Dex. And I think the result of that will be one of two things. Either you'll see the hard hand of tyranny smash it, and you'll see a weak nation fall apart and just lay under the thumb, or you will see a radical change. And I think where your opinion lies that we will just lay down and take it. We're about to run out of time.
If they do rise up, they will get crushed like roaches.
All right, I want to give you a minute to tell us how to get a hold of you. So go quick.
All right, YouTube channel pulsescan72 and email the same thing, pulsescan72@gmail.com. Black Ops Trading. That's where we're at.
Dex, you're the man. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your information and your debate, and you always call it like you see it, and I appreciate you not deviating from your beliefs. So thank you very much for coming on. We'll talk to you next week. Everybody stay tuned for Jeff Rintz because he's coming up next. Like I said earlier, tomorrow night we're going to have Pete from PD Lumen on YouTube. Friday will be Open Topic. Stay tuned for Jeff Rintz. We'll see you tomorrow night.
A little red cover with a broken spine on the back. He hand wrote a quote inside. When the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. Meanwhile, the leader just talks away, stuttering and mumbling for night and